Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to Psalm 19. So here's the title. Let's say that the Bible is perfect. So what's the big deal? Psalm 19 is going to answer it. The second half of Psalm 19 is going to answer that today. So I didn't realize that the second half of Psalm 19 is a love song to the Word. The first half is about nature and the sky. We talked about that yesterday. So let's start in the middle of Psalm 19. And he's going to talk about the Word first. He's going to talk about what are the characteristics of the Bible. Here it is, verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. So he talks about the law, the precepts, the commands, the rules. And the point here is, can I stand on those things of God? Are they reliable? That's the big point of this part of Psalm 19. And he kind of contrasts, he says, because this is true, then this can happen. Because this is true, this can happen. So absent the first, you can't have the second. So what are the ways that he does this poetically? He says the law is perfect, and so it revives the soul. The testimony is true, and that will make wise the simple. The precepts are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandments are pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules are true and are righteous altogether. So David here first comments on the reliability and the dependability and the trustworthiness of the Word. And why is that? Because absent the first and all those secondary things can't happen. So absent the perfection and the surety and the righteousness and the purity and the cleanliness and the truth, you cannot have any reliable effects, which he describes soul reliable, making you wise and making your heart rejoice, letting your eyes see, enduring forever, and being wholly righteous. So David here declares the reliability of the Word and then the effects that the strength of the Word then results in. All right, so after he gets done with that exercise, then he declares his affection for the Word, and he describes it in two different ways. Here's the love he describes. Verse 10, more desired are they than gold, than even much fine gold. Sweeter also than honey and drippings of the honeycomb. So David comments on this by saying these affectionate words in different ways. He says they're more desired than gold and more desired than the sweetness of honey. So this is his kind of response to the solidness of the Word, is his affection for it. So this is a love song to the law of the Lord, a love song to the Bible, a love song to the recordings that God has come down for man. And then he gets to kind of the nitty gritty in what can this do for me? You know, what effect is the reliability of the Word and my affection for it? To what effect is it supposed to be? Verse 11. However, by them, the precepts of the Word, by them your servant is warned. In keeping them, there's great reward. Verse 12, who can discern his errors, his own errors? Declare me innocent from hidden faults. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then I shall be blameless and innocent of great transgression. So the Word is not without effect. He's describing the reliability of the Word, that it causes results and is dependent upon something. So the outcomes rest on the reliability that we already talked about earlier this morning. And now he gets to the nitty-gritty, which is the discernment of my personal error, my faults, and my sins. This is stuff we don't like to talk about anymore. So when you put yourself up in comparison to the perfection and the purity and the righteous, and the sureness and the truth of the Word, something or someone is generally found wanting. And it's not the Word. That's his point. What's found wanting is myself. It's me. And you have to love the heart of David. He says, don't let me sin. And for those students of the Bible, you guys know that David is one of the best sinners in the whole Old Testament. And but the thing about him that's great is his recovery. He says, help me to be blameless. He's putting himself sort of on the altar of exposure here. Let the word have his effect. So one of the effects is his affection, but then it says this discernment process, one outcome. So he wants to love the word. That's all good. But then the other one is to assess my errors. So in this solidness of the word comes a warning, and that is I could be doing life wrong. For David, I was doing certain parts of my life wrong. And how do I know? Well, you help me show it. How is that? In the solidness of your word. I was warned. I got the warning. And then David does the right thing even after that. He comes to grief. This reminds me of Psalm 139, which is also a Psalm of David, but a very similar sentiment where he says, "O Lord, you have searched me and know me. You know when I sit down and rise up. You know my thoughts from afar. You search up my path and my lying down. You're acquainted with my ways. Even before the word is on my tongue, behold, you know it altogether." And I think that's what Psalm 19 is also saying here. The second half of Psalm 19 is this praise for the word, and then a primer on what it can be used for, which is don't let me get this wrong. Let me assess myself in light of the actual rock of the solid truth. Let me look at my actual sin. So this then fulfills the final stanza, which is, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and redeemer. So the word is not without effect, and let's not let it be today. It warns of error, it declares sins and faults, and that is a big deal. So if I meditate on it just a little bit, if I let it sink in, that can be a really big deal. Thanks for listening.